Welcome back to I think it's update 6. I see I got carried away and I forgot to video what I was doing, unfortunately. And my apologies, but basically all I did was here you see in the grey, when I sprayed it grey, the base, and then all I did after that was I got a load of these and I used PVA glue and just stuck them all over and stuck them all into the, obviously onto the top of the thing, and I broke up a lot of old grey things, tiles I had, so these all this to be finer as well. They're a bit chunky at the moment, but I used that as well to go with the grey, as you can see. Let me just pull this back just a touch. On this leading edge here, this is what sort of the effect I'm looking for. It's just been, can you quite see that? Yeah, there we go. This is sort of the effect I'm looking for. This has just been a little bit of PVA glue, and I've put all the dusts and things. It isn't dried yet, so it looks a bit darker than what it is at the moment. The tracks, all I did was use the AK metal polish again, which is the true metal, which is the steel, which is AK 457, and for the sleepers I just used the dipping wash, the normal dipping wash they use, and I used the black dipping wash as well, which is number, I know you have the brown one, but I don't think I'll give you the name for the black wash. The black wash is same again, it's Vallejo as well. It's 73-301 Negro black wash, Lavado Negro black wash. So that's all I've used. I put the brown one on first, a couple of coats of that, let that dry, and then I just went over the top with a bit of black wash, obviously, because they're not going to be perfectly brown, and obviously when the dust goes on them you're not really going to see them that much. So that's basically where I'm at the moment with the gravel and things. And then once I'd done the, sorry, going way off track, once I've got the tracks done with the metal, true metal, I let that dry, and then I went over with a little rust wash, obviously because it's never been used for such a long time. I went along with the rust wash, and they're just not quite dry yet. There again, there'll be dust and crap and everything on top of them. Bear in mind we have, where we are, this has to be sitting on there as well, so, which I've done nothing else to this yet, so this shall be sitting at some angle, either there or there, obviously with the suspension sorted out on one side. So yeah, so that's what's going to be. It's going to be on there. This, you know, when it's all finished and things. So I'll just move it off there again. I don't really need that on there at the moment. Yeah. So next thing I've done after that was, see, I've got some more wood down here, which I've just been sort of using the two pigments again, just to get the sort of burnt effect, which I've been using the Vallejo Slate Grey, which is 73113, which is a pigment, and the 73116 black carbon. So I've just been sort of, you know, in a pigment fix, just trying to get like a burnt effect with the wood and things like that. So I've got all them to go on. Like I say, with all the, when I do the aerials, I come back with all that stuff off the aerials. So what I'm going to do is I've sort of sprayed it of one colour, these again, and I'm just going to dump it on, you know, as wire and rubbish. You can't really see in that with the where it's gone, but a few of those to put on. Also a couple of these corrugated sheets which I've made a rusty, if maybe slightly too rusty, I might have to dull them down a bit, but they're going to sort of go more on the inside. I'll put a couple probably around, maybe I'll break them up and put a couple around there. As you can see on the bottom, this is just a root off a plant I picked up, and I've just sort of let them dry out. This isn't quite finished yet, just put there for show at the moment until I get the correct colour what I want. And as you can see along the bottom, there's a slight hue of green, which is like moss and things, but I've also gone along with the grey powder and the brick powder as well, just to sort of, you know, because it's it's going to come up, isn't it? It's going to splash up to a certain degree. So I've gone right along there with that. And if you look at the drain pipe in the corner, let me just maybe zoom in slightly with that if you can. Let me just lift it up slightly. There we go. And let me just see if I can get into that drain pipe a little bit better than that. There we are. There, I've weathered that as well. That's being weathered with just this streaking grime, which is and the streaking grime and the streaking rust from wherever I put it, back again as normal, nowhere to be found. Yeah, the streaking grime, which is the AK, I think it's 012. Oh yeah, let's come back. Is it gonna focus? Yeah, AK012. That's the streaking grime, and then I put a bit of streaking rust on as well, which is, let me see if I can get it into there. Come back out a little bit perhaps. Which is AK013. I didn't quite read that. Is it focused enough? Yeah, it's AK013, which is the streaking rust. So put them there. Yeah, so just weather that up, and if you can see it, maybe you can't quite see at the bottom of the drain pipe. Oops, what have we done there? If you can see in the corner there, can't quite see. I've used the same, the green again. I put a bit of green around the bottom, and I've also used Wilder's murky water. And obviously, as if water's been coming down there and it's gone green and, you know, stagnant, and it's the murky water. Tell you what, let me just zoom out. You can see that now. Let me zoom out. So yeah, so it's the murky water, which is a Wilder's product, and it's N-L-34. It's nice stuff. I've got quite a few Wilder's products at the moment, and they like so far what I've used. Also, I was rummaging around in me plaster stuff that I've got, all my bits and pieces, and I found a red star. Well, it wasn't red until I painted it, so I just painted and made another coat, yeah. And what I was thinking of doing with that, before I damage it, I'll go over it with me chair. Right, I'll put that there. I was thinking of putting this, I've got a name for the factory, and a red star at the end or at the beginning of it. So when I do that, that's going to go on there. So this isn't in properly yet, it's just wedging at the moment. So there's a bit more weathering to do. And I've also, oh, can't quite see that again, can we? Let me just lift the there we go. I've made a bracket and put the cable again as if it was the electric cable was going to go into it. Let me just zoom in perhaps. We can lift it up again. There we go. You can't quite see it, can we? Let me just move some of the bloody rubbish out the way. I'll be alright. There we go. It's gone even further away now, isn't it?
We have a problem.
Oh, do we? We'll look at that in a minute. Just the discs. So why? Let's see it back out for a start. Yeah, there you can see it now. It's just the I've made a little bracket and weathered it up a little bit. Still needs to be a bit more done. And then I've got some the jewellery wire. I'm going to run a few cables from, you know, from one part to the other, and a few damaged ones hanging down as per normal. And if you look at the bottom of the these telegraph poles, but then again I put a bit of the green, which basically is from the it's a life colour again. Sorry, it's from the hull and wooden decks. Obviously I use this when I build my ships, which isn't very often, and it's what you call fouling green. So obviously maybe on ships like the you know, the green from the like moss and lichens and things like that on the hull and whatever. So I've used that just to go around the bottom of it. You can quite make it out. Let me just see if I can zoom it in. Let me just slightly make it out round the bottom, obviously, so that's, you know, being weathered, it's been there for quite a long time, and you know, damp and wet and miserable, and a bit of moss is starting to grow, or whatever's starting to grow, lichen, whatever they're called. So I've done that on both, and just to give it a slightly different hue, because it was a bit bright, I used a bit of the old MIG faded bronze green, which is P051, which is quite a nice colour, and I've just sort of dabbed it on, dry brushed it on with as it's been wet, and it's stayed on. So that's just what I thought I'd try, just to make it a bit different. So I've still got quite a bit to do on it. All this needs to be, hopefully tonight I shall get all the see what this dries like first, and then all the brick pigments and the grey pigments, and just finish off the rubble. Sort this little bit of a tree out. I should really do some work on camera, which I'll probably do on the next update. So what I'll do now is I'll just say I will come back later on when this is dry, and we'll see how I've sort of done the finished sort of gravel and the rubble and whatever. Yeah, so hopefully this dries quite nice, and then we'll see how I've done it, and we'll just carry on while we're on camera. And I'll sort this bit of I'm not too sure if I'm going to put it on. I'll see. So I'll do that, come back to you, and then we'll come on, we'll start doing the gravel and the rubble and things like that, and finishing the rubble off. I've done nothing towards the back at the moment. I've got a few little bits and pieces that I want to use. Let me just zoom out again. So I've got nothing really done. These I've had for quite a while. Just boxes tied up. So I was thinking of putting a couple of these in the factory as well, just a, you know, a random sort of thing with a machine, and obviously all the rubble in here as well. And all these walls have all got to be weathered and darkened and streaked and whatever. And same with the glass. I'm going to put some dust pigments on the glass that's left. So obviously with all the dust and rubble, it's all going to, you know, stick to the glass as well. And obviously the machines to go in here. Well, I'm only going to put one, I think, just the one machine in here. I think it'll be more than enough. So I think that's where we are at the moment. I don't think there's anything else we need to be sort of doing with it yet, but it's getting there. So this, I'll take this out and put this in properly as well. And so yeah, I've got a couple of Google images of the Russian writing on there, so I'm not too sure I'm going to do it yet, but I shall endeavour to try and do something with it. So put a name on there, and obviously weather that down again. I think that's about it at the moment, and then maybe after I've done this little bit here, finish the rubble off here, and we'll start just doing a few more weather them on top of the tiles and things, just to make them look a bit older than what they are. And then yeah, I think it's coming along alright at the moment. So once I'm burbling now, once I get all this front part done on camera, I'll show you how I do it, and then we'll leave the diorama, and then we'll go back to the tank, because I'm going to do a suspension, sort the track out, and get it actually on here to look at where it's going to go, and then we can sort of match the pigments up for the final weathering on the T34. And obviously we've got all the crew and the figures to go on as well. But you have to say, this Dio from GeroDesign.com is certainly worth its pennies. I know I've added a bit to it, but you know, as you do anyhow, you would just add your own bits and pieces to it. So I've used their door as the base, but I've made my own door from, you know, from there. So that's got to be weathered and broken up as well, and, you know, put down into wherever it's going to go. Or I might not even have the door on there. And these again, say these know they're all streaking and weathered, all these bits as well, obviously with the on there. But yeah, generally speaking, I'm very happy with it at the moment. I say it's taken a bit longer than normal for me to do these builds, but I think I've just had that much going on, and in personal life it's just been unbelievable. I've never had the time, you know, or I got stuck to my seat downstairs watching TV or on my laptop. So, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So I'll close off here, and I'll start cleaning up a little bit first before I do anything else, and then I'll come back to you once this is dry, and we'll carry on with the rubble. So I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, and thank you to my subscribers, old and new, and thanks for taking the time out of the day to watch this. But hopefully in a couple of seconds you will be back on camera. Well, a couple of seconds for you, it won't be for me, but you know what I mean. So this is Greg signing off, and we'll catch you very, very soon. Right, good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's only what appears to be a few seconds, but it's been a day and a half since I did the first part of the diorama with the dust and the brick dust. Let me just zoom if you can see where I did the first part. I'll find a pointy stick. As you can see here, this is where I did to start with, and it's come out quite well. Maybe we can perhaps zoom in a little touch with it, and we shall soon see. Oh, I can get it twisted around the right way. As you can see, it's dried quite nicely, and this is solid now. This is just with the PVA on there, and the brick dust and the grey dust. So that's what I'm aiming for. That's just so that will give me a good base to work from as well. Once I start doing the rest of it, like all the wood and the barbed wire and barrels, you know, anything that's going to go on there. I'm going to change the piece of wood, the piece of twig into where it runs up the wall. But first of all, we'll start off with what I was going to say is how I do the pigments and the brake dust and the grey dust. Sorry. So what I do is basically just make sure it's still working, because sometimes they stick up. Yeah, it's fine. Just put a bit of PVA all over. Doesn't matter, because it always dries clear. So then I'd start off with a bit of the actual brick dust first, which is, oh yeah, which is a MIG pigment again, and the pigment number is MIG 3015. Instead of me crushing up some bricks, so all I do, one of these big thick brushes, like a makeup brush almost. Well, yeah, good video. There, that sort of thing like that, and then I just go along. It holds quite a lot of pigment, this brush. So any glue that's a bit excessive, like you roll onto the edge like this part is here, I'll just give a bit of the old tissue and dry it off. There's also a little bit more of the brick dust. As you can see, it does call quite a bit of the pigment. I'll just give this a wipe a little bit. And this in here, I've just sieved the grey bricks that I have, and I've just brushed them a little bit and sieved them and got sort of that sort of thing. So now that it's the same again, I just get a lot on my brush and just, because even though there's a lot of red brick, you always tend to find that for some strange reason that the grey is more predominant. For some strange reason, I don't know why. obviously it's all the dust, so it's going to cover everything. A little bit more on there, I think. So it's I really shouldn't, you know, most people will know how to do this, but this is the way I just found to do it. And then when I've got it done, this is isopropanol in one of those little plastic squirty bottle nozzle things, and then all I do then is just give it a, so it makes sure it stays in, and I leave it to dry. So that's basically how I do that. So once I've done all this and it's dried, we can then start thinking about like the woods, the barrel, I've got a few barrels, some other bits and pieces for the debris, like I showed you yesterday, these things, I'll have to cut them up and bend them and things like that. I've got all sorts of bits, and the barbed wire, which is here. Oh yeah, can't really see, can you? But got 2 lots of that, which needs finishing off. Get a little bit rusty and things like that. And then I was thinking about, well, let me just zoom out. Let me just bring this forward to there a little bit. Put that out the way. Where are we going to? Where are we going to? Let's bring the camera off this way better. There we go. Yeah, so then I was going to start thinking about weathering the all the where's that stuck there? That's it. The door, you know, this door, the concrete slabs on the door, that all has to be weathered. And that's obviously the sign up the top. Where are we going to again? There has to be weathered as well. Once I put the name on there, that little red star. I don't think the red star is something that they put on, but I thought I'd just do it anyhow because it looks quite, you know, it looks pretty decent. What else? Yeah, and I'm going to change this branch. I think I'm going to use some horsehair, which I've got rubberized horsehair, to go onto there. Just make it growing up the side of the wall here a bit, and a couple of, once it's all dry, and so maybe a couple of very, very fine small grass tufts just among it. You know, grass grows everywhere, doesn't it? Just to show it's there's a bit of life underneath the all this rubble. Yeah, don't worry about all the glue coming down the side, it's no problem, just wipes off. And it dries clear. But I say, I should have really taped all this before I set off, which is my fault more than anybody else's. And then I'm going to finish off the drain pipe as well. I'm going to put a bit more of the water effect, well, not water effects, it's the murky waters from Wilder, just to, let me if I can zoom in again on that. I don't want to move them bricks. Let me zoom in. On there, as you can see, I've got the green, it's like a slight green hue on it, as if it was moss. Let's bring it a bit farther in. But there, I just want to put a bit of more of the wet, murky water on there to represent this, like this water vein coming down there, just dripping from the ends and soaking into the ground. So the front, and obviously this is just temporary still put in. I need to take that out and put the window in properly, and do a light spraying of dust onto the windows as well. And I've got the glass from the broken just to scatter along the front, and obviously in the back when we get round to the back, which is still just the same as it's always been for quite a while, no different. All this has to be weathered and the machine has to be built, and I've got all sorts of bits and pieces to go in there. So we're moving along slowly, and then obviously the electrical overhead power cables, they need to be sorted and wired up. I've got some jeweler's wire. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, because obviously there's going to be some damaged and, you know, the usual sort of wear and tear. But yeah, we're getting there, slowly getting there. Slowly, but I'm enjoying it. As I say, I'm not rushing it. As I haven't had time to rush it, been doing other things, so it's coming out quite nicely considering I'm not been at the bench as much as I'd like to over the last few weeks. But once I get to the bench, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, which is the main thing, is enjoyment. So I'll finish off here for now, and I'll carry on with doing the dust and the brick dust and the grey dust on top of the debris. And then once that's done, I'll get back to you again. So Greg signing off, and we'll catch you very soon. Right chaps, back again. I've got the, where's my pointy stick? I've got all my rubble done on there, and I've actually, if you can see, there's actually shattered glass as well among all this. I know the window isn't fastened incorrectly, as I've said, but I've actually weathered the window a little bit, so I'm just going to try and take these out and glue from the bottom so it doesn't fall forward or backwards, and do something with the gap in here. I'm not too sure yet, but we'll find something. So that's come out quite well. I say, you can see on some of the panes of glass there's like dust and crap all along the broken glass, which I thought was, it's going to happen, isn't it, with all the dust that's about. So I've done that, and I've added little barrel. I've got powers these bloody barrels for some reason, just on the corner there, weathered it again with dust and crap. And this one, if you can quite pick it up, is like that off the aerials, when you do the aerials, the guitar strings. So that just needs to be rusted up a little bit. It's a bit on the black side. Yep, that's just like, I'll use barbed wire, or wire in general. And I've lots of these bits of wood that's needs weathering. I say most of it's burnt at the ends and things like that, which I've got a few more down to put on there. Just not too many. And if you can't quite see, can we? Let me just pull it back slightly. There we go. I've weathered the tin foil, the aluminium sheets, corrugated sheets. I've got 2 or 3 of those, so I'm going to put some in the front and some in the rear, as if it was representing what was up here non-existent anymore. And the door, I'm unsure what I'm going to do. I've weathered the door to a certain degree. I'm unsure what I want to do, to have it laying inside as if it's been blown inwards, rubble all over the top of it. I think I may go that way. Not 100% sure, but I may go that way with it. Also, I use this rubberized horsehair. You can quite see it on here, which is basically, it comes in a big clump. It's not expensive. Let me just get it. It'll last forever and a day. Yeah, got rubberized horsehair. This is the stuff. It's like Brillo pad, but a lot finer. I think it was about £4.50 for that mount. From CM3 models, rubberized horsehair. So I've got some of that stuff, and all I've done with as you know, I do have a leaf cutter. So I've cut a lot of leaves out, and I've made like vines, and you can see there, vines and bits and pieces there, all that. And I was just going to maybe have a couple, like say from the bottom, maybe the bit where the water is, things like that. Not 100% sure, but they're there if I need them. I think that's all I've done at the moment. So what I need now is I'm going to start to weather just this front part here. I'll still haven't decided how I'm going to do the names on the tank on the factory yet, but I'll weather this first. I'll do that now. So all I'm going to use is obviously the Bob Ross thinners, which I've still got in my jar there. A little bit in there. It's a bit dirty, but it's not going to make any difference. And a bit of streaking grime, the AK streaking grime. There we are. Which is, can't really read it now, AK012. Read that. So basically all I do, clean brush, clean rag, or cloth, or kitchen roll, or whatever you want to call it. All I do is just put a bit of that over there. This has been pre-shook by the way, so it's not too bad. So then I'll just, I can do with a bigger brush really. Just the same as you do with a tank really. That'll do. Put the lid back on that before I knock it over. So we'll just leave that a couple of minutes. We'll talk about something where that's just sort of soaking in. Yeah, so after I've done this, I'll finish this as update 5 concluded, and then I'm going to start on the rear, on the back side of it, which at the moment is nothing yet really apart from the floor. So that's the next major job. So all this will be weathered, streaked, you know, dirty and whatever. I'm thinking of just putting one machine here, the door being blown inwards, and rubble. Obviously I've got a lot of the rubble left, the grey rubble, and a few bricks as well, but most of it will be grey because of the wall. So that's going to be, I think I might paint that slightly different colour, because I do have that the light colours debris rubble, so I might do the stone wall colour, which is, it's not too far off it now really, but let's have a look. Stone wall rubber. In fact, I think that's probably a lot lighter, so I don't know. I might mix it down with a touch of darken it down a bit. And we have broken plaster as well, which is quite light. Oop, nearly. We have the broken plaster as well. We have debris of rubble, lime and mortar, debris of rubble and old tile, and debris of rubble, worn brickwork, and debris and rubble deposit dust. So there's quite a few to choose from there as well, but I'll just see how it weathers up first before I decide if I need to change the inside colour. I probably won't when I darken it down with the weather, and probably won't need anything apart from maybe the bits in here where it'll be a bit slightly darker and show some of the brickwork through there as well. So I think that's had enough, so we can start off just by pulling it down as you normally do, isn't it? It's nothing new, as they say. It's just, so you get a bit of the old thinners on there again, and we'll turn it round. Just at an awkward angle to do this, so excuse me, I'll try and do it this way around. Try left-handed. I think I'm going to be in the way. Let me just see if I can bring it closer in for a start, and maybe come away from. If I can just same as you normally do, just drag it down and then just clean your brush. Don't like that bit there. Bit too much on there, I'm not happy with that at all. So let's just and just streak it down. Still don't like that. Sorry if I'm in. That looks a bit better. So if it was plastic, I would have left it a bit longer to, you know, to sit there. But being plaster, it'll probably soak in a lot faster. So it's just to, you know, to represent a bit of weather before I decide what I'm going to put on there. I don't know if I'm going to put that red star on there or not yet. 100% sure yet, but I may well do. I say I found on Google a factory name. She's in Russian, so I'm going to try and do something of similar things. Probably won't be historically correct, but it's just a diorama after all. In the end, I'm not really representing any specific factory in Stalingrad, just a general, you know. Can't really see at the moment because it hasn't dried, but yeah, I'll do it, just turn that round. Still not happy with that piece in the centre. that's better. Yeah, so I'll probably do the door as well. The door frame in a similar sort of thing. And I think that majority of actual front is completely finished now, so apart from not adding the little bits of debris which has to go on there, and you know, and obviously the tank. Now I've got it how I wanted, I can start messing around with the suspension and getting the tank back onto front of the camera again, so we don't forget what we're doing. So that's probably the next bit will be starting on the back, and then we'll bring where is the tank? It's nothing different to where you've seen it last. It isn't together at all, but it will be eventually. Now I know exactly what I'm going to put on, what it's going to go on like, but obviously it has to be weathered to match. So I'm going to have it coming down sort of at that angle, maybe slightly more that way. Can't really see that, can we? Sort of like similar to that, but obviously the tank's going to be weathered up to match the surroundings, you know, the dust and the crap and everything else, and the figures have got to go on there yet. But generally speaking, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're certainly getting there. Probably do a bit of rubble and crap around the skirts of the sponsons on the tank. A bit on the back of here. Obviously I've got tank crew to go on there as well as the tank riders. But yeah, it looks quite nice, and obviously the wiring for the telegraph poles. If that's what they are, telegraph poles probably, sort of, or electrical. I think they're called more telegraph poles, aren't they really? So I'll say I'll have a couple running and a couple broken and things like that. So I think we'll call this end of update 5, and we'll start on update 6. We'll start on the inside. So this is where I'll say goodbye for the moment, and say I'd like to thank you very much for watching and taking your time out of the day to do so, and thank you to all my subscribers. I've hit 550 now, so you know, moving along very nicely. So this is Greg signing off, and we'll catch you very, very soon. Also, before I go, I'll remember to put the link to the site that produces these diodes, and then you can follow that and have a look around the site. Reasonably priced, very good price actually, and you can see the quality is very good. So it gives you a good solid base to work from. As you can see, I've done nothing startling with it. I've just sort of my interpretation how it should look. So it's up to you. After that, when you get the kit, it's up to your interpretation. Right, I'm burbling on, so we'll see you soon. Take care, boys and girls.